Couple of months all leading up now to this point, a few minutes before launch, 3 minutes before launch, and the teams watching over all these operations are in the Launch Control Center, which is about 3 kilometers from the pad, not 250 meters like the first Ariane that we heard about earlier. About 100 or so people in here, and they're dealing with all the systems concerning both the launch vehicle and the launch zone. They started their preparations months ago, but right now their job is to make sure that Ariane is ready for takeoff. And they're monitoring all the events during this final phase now of the synchronized sequence. Very busy, concentrating hard right now. There we have Ariane, the satellites inside the top of the launcher there, waiting for liftoff. Nice and comfy. Got their air conditioning in first class with their seat belts on. Coming up to 2 minutes now, getting close. This is a good shot here of the cryogenic arms clamping to the upper stage of the launch vehicle. They feed liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen into the upper tanks, and to keep hydrogen and oxygen as a cryogenic fuel to keep it cold, we have to keep the hydrogen at minus 253 and the oxygen at minus 150 Celsius, very cold. Everybody coming out of the control center now to watch the launch with their own eyes from the viewing balconies on each side of the control center. This is the mission control center, about 15 kilometers or so from the pad.
À tous de DDO, attention pour moins 1 minute. Top, à 0 moins 1 minute.
We are live at the Guyana Space Center, and 1 minute to the launch of TIBA 1 for Thales Alenia Space and Airbus Defence and Space on behalf of the Government of Egypt, and GX5 for the operator Inmarsat, built by Thales Alenia Space. Our best wishes to all the teams. We're pretty set to go. Let's watch now and wish everybody the best of luck.
À tous de DDO, attention pour les décomptes finales. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage chacun. Allumage EAP, décollage. Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux. La propulsion est nominale.
Well, that is a spectacular sight. Ariane 5, flight number 250, the 250th Ariane vehicle to launch from the pad here at the Guyana Space Center, blazing a trail across the equatorial skies. Flying supersonic, faster than the speed of sound. And the vibrations are reaching us here at the Guyana Space Center.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
He's telling us that everything on board is going according to plan. We're flying out east across the Atlantic. TIBA 1 and GX5 have started their journey. And he's telling us the propulsion is nominal. Right now the boosters are doing all the work. They're those two big solid tanks on each side of the launcher. Once they burn their propellant, they separate and fall away, and we might be lucky enough to see that. And we could just see them back there. Those two big boosters, those two dots we saw moving away. There we can see them. Look at that. The dot in the middle is the Vulcan engine on the main stage. And the two lights on either side are the boosters. We don't need them anymore. They've burnt their propellant and we are shedding weight. That's the name of the game. We need to get rid of our weight as quickly as we can. And those were propelling us away from our Earth's gravity.
La propulsion est nominale.
Bottom left is our altitude. We're 106 kilometers high and climbing. Our distance in the middle. If you were to draw a straight line from the pad, you can still see those boosters moving away. And we have confirmation there that the fairing has now separated, and look how those parts flex. It's called the breathing mode. It's all part of the plan. We don't need the fairing anymore because we are technically in space and our satellites can be exposed to space now because there's no longer any friction. And the captain has switched off the seatbelt signs.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Everything's going normally. Bottom right-hand side, we can see the speed is 263 kilometers per second, not per hour, per second. We will be getting faster and faster and heading towards speeds of above 9 kilometers per second later. Top right-hand side is our trajectory. The cross is the actual position of our launch vehicle, and the trajectory is our planned trajectory.
La trajectoire est nominale.
Everything's going according to plan. Everything is nominal. You can see there in the front is our first satellite, which is going to be separated. TIBA 1. You can see it there for the first time.
Tous les
We're
paramètres
going
à
to
bord
find
sont
out a
normaux.
little bit more now about TIBA 1 in this film.
Assalamu alaikum, merhaba bikum fi Guyana. My name is Valérie Boucher, and I am the TIBA 1 Program Director at Arianespace. My work mainly consists in interfacing with the customer and in preparing the mission for TIBA 1. TIBA 1 is a civil and government telecommunication satellite for Egypt. It was developed by Thales Arianespace and Airbus Defence and Space as co-prime contractors, with TAS acting as the consortium's lead partner. TAS is in charge of the communication payload, whereas Airbus is responsible for the Eurostar 3000 platform. Airbus is Arianespace's direct customer for this mission. Arianespace and Airbus has developed a fruitful cooperation since the creation of the European Launch Service Provider in 1980. The satellite will be owned and operated by the government of Egypt. It will be the fourth satellite launched by Arianespace for Egypt. On behalf of Arianespace, I would like to thank Airbus, Thales Arianespace, and the government of Egypt for their confidence. And I wish all the best to TIBA 1. Hasai TIBA 1.
And our next satellite to be released is GX5 for Inmarsat. Can't see it right now because it's hidden
Tous les paramètres à
inside
bord sont
the
normaux.
black structure, the fairing. Arianespace and Inmarsat go back to 1981 with the Marex series. We're going to get a closer look now at the most advanced satellite in Inmarsat's GX fleet.
Inmarsat is a faithful customer of European industry. Thales Alenia Space is the prime contractor of JX5. This satellite is based on the Heritage platform, well known by Arianespace. Several satellites of this type have already flown on Ariane 5. JX5 was assembled and tested in Cannes in the south of France. The telecom payload was tailored by Thales Alenia Space on the specific need of Inmarsat. It will support mobile communications over Europe and the Middle East. Inmarsat and Arianespace contracted the launch of JX5 end of 2017. In the meantime, several meetings were held to prepare the mission and the satellite operations in Kourou. All interfaces between JX5 and Ariane 5 were duly documented and approved by all parties. This includes the detailed sequence of events on the day of the launch. It starts with satellite wake-up early in the morning, followed by several hours of cross-checks by launch base and satellite teams, involving remote stations all over the world. Arianespace, CNES and Ariane Group wish their customers a successful mission.
And during that film, we picked up the signal at the tracking station. The tracking station in Natal, and that's in Brazil, on the northeastern coast of South America. And the flight path takes us out across the Atlantic, across Africa, and along the equator. The launch is sending signals back to Earth during its flight, and we have a network of stations along that flight path, keeping us in constant watch, if you like, over the health of the systems. And this is now the switch off of the main stage, and the upper stage has now switched its engine on. You can see that's what it looks like. There we go, confirmation there that the upper stage has now switched its engine on, and that's cameras on board a previous flight showing us what it looks like when the main stage is jettisoned. So you're looking here now at the upper stage is the white disc. The black structure is what we call the cylinder. That's a protection mechanism for the satellite underneath it. Today it's GX5, and it also allows us to attach the satellite in front. It makes the dual launches possible. And we're really entering now the next phase in this flight, because the upper stage has taken the wheel, and its engine is going to burn for about 16 minutes, and he's just told us that the propulsion is nominal, it's normal. TIBA 1 is owned and operated by the Egyptian government.